We're live with coaches and athletic directors from across the state figuring out the status of high school sports. This is the Georgia High School Athletics Roundtable with Doug Cowart, Doug Konkel, and Rusty Mansell, exclusively on The Fan.
And Chris Mooneyham, of course, too. Yeah, handsome devil sitting over there to my right. Welcome to 680 The Fan and the Georgia High School Roundtable. It's being streamed here at The Fan, obviously, on 680thefan.com. You can get it on the 680 The Fan app. You can get it on YouTube. There's several ways to keep up with the show tonight, but we start out, guys, with some interesting information about high school football, because there for a moment, we thought across the state things were getting moved back, and then that turned out not to be the case. We actually are just moving football back in Fulton County. So it seems like football to me, though the most important thing in the state of Georgia when it comes to high school athletics, there's so much confusion and things are changing by the second, fellas.
Yeah, changing by the second, and I mean it's been that way for what, 2 weeks. I'll rattle off some numbers for you guys here in a few moments, but I know we want to get everybody's thoughts on it. A lot of schools, a lot of districts pushing back, and it now looks like Fulton County has joined the fray.
Well, I think Fulton County has been the school that's been virtual to start the school year the longest.
Yeah.
Right? So it makes sense they'd be the first one to want to push it forward, too.
I was in a school yesterday in Gwinnett County, and that was kind of the word was Fulton County was, and maybe DeKalb, Atlanta Public Schools was going to push back, and some schools are not choosing that right now. So, yeah, we had a little bit of conflicting information. Looks like still September the 4th, but Fulton County will move back, and that probably will put them into probably just a region-only type schedule, which could still be 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, for some regions. But that's going to have a ripple effect across the state. For all the diehards out there that are watching right now who keep up with Georgia high school football year after year, that's going to affect a lot of schedules across the state. A lot of South Georgia teams that are playing Metro Atlanta.
Cedar Grove, Colquitt is a game I was down. Now, I'll tell you this, Cedar Grove, that's DeKalb County. If they cancel that game, I know what they're getting paid to go down there. It's pretty important that Cedar Grove goes and plays Colquitt. Yeah, that's a check. That is now they're not going down there to get beat, but they're getting paid to go to Moultrie to play that game. That's a big deal for Cedar Grove.
And I don't think many people realize that things like that happen. I don't think many people realize that actually happens.
They'll buy out 2 years.
Sure,
they'll come twice. You know, look, Cedar Grove's playing Buford. They're getting paid for that game.
Yeah, but I know people know it happens at the college level, but I'm not sure, Doug, that people realize at the high school level that it happens like that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, balancing the budget is the same no matter what level of football you're on. And they got to do the same thing, and the athletic director for Georgia high schools and high schools everywhere, because there's so much going on in terms of the moving parts of financing all your programs.
It's been a couple years now, but I'll tell you a little inside story from Hal Lamb when he was at Calhoun. 2 years in a row, they brought Douglas to Calhoun. They paid them both years. Those two guys developed a relationship. And forgive me, I cannot think of Douglas as head coach right now. But when they got done playing the second year, him and Hal kept their relationship, and Hal had some leftover Nike cleats, 40 or 50 pair. He gave them to Douglas after that game.
That's huge.
I mean, and nobody wrote about that.
Yeah.
But the point is, those teams have to come to places like that.
Right.
Calhoun sells season tickets. They need that money. This will be a big deal for these Fulton County schools if they miss what Chris is talking about, some of these games.
Yeah, and Hal Lamb wasn't exactly trying to have that advertised. He's a good guy, great dude, good old boy.
And Hal didn't tell me. One of the assistant coaches told me that. So that was a different thing.
Doug, here's what we're looking at, too, to that point, and it kind of bridges into something I wanted to get to right off the top of the broadcast. 7 schools will not play football this fall in the state of Georgia. We're at 7, and maybe that number's growing. 13 as of now before the Fulton County announcement will play an abbreviated schedule. Calhoun County, Riverside Military, Stewart County, and Twiggs County have canceled their fall sports entirely.
Our Lady of Mercy did right before we went on the air.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've just added another. There you go. And again, these schools, smaller schools, you understand why they're doing it, but also that money, that box, the impact for their community when other schools come in. And a lot of those smaller schools, they'll travel, so they'll come in there to Stewart County. That economic impact is so important. Savannah-Chatham County schools will only play an intra-district schedule. Football is going to start no sooner than October 1st. Now, that doesn't affect the private schools, something we were talking about earlier.
Let me ask a question on that. I had this today. You may know, and Doug may know this. They're going to play the intercity. They're going to play Savannah only.
That's what they're saying. Now, they got to get it lined up.
Now, if that works, are you just saying they're going to not be in the playoffs? We're just going to play these 6 or 7 games and we're done because you're essentially taking yourself out of the region.
Absolutely, and we're going to have Robin Hines come up here. In about 5 or 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, great question for him.
And I'm gonna hit him up with it as well. The private schools in Savannah are going to play as of right now their GHSA schedule. Rockdale County postponed sports for the entire fall semester for all 3 of their schools: Salem, Rockdale County, and Heritage. That's important for those communities.
Yeah, it is.
Doherty, Albany.
And then, of course, one of the hardest hit, if not the hardest hit, rural county in the state of Georgia, according to the COVID-19 numbers, is Doherty County down there around Albany. And we know what's happened with them. They pushed their fall athletics back to October 1st.
And like you said about the Fulton County delay, going to have a ripple effect. Every one of those ripples, and those ripples go all the way to the Atlanta metro area and across the state. I mean, it's going to... And the later these decisions come, like Fulton County's just today, the harder it is to get everything organized and get prepared for the season to come.
It's still, at the end of the day, football.
It is.
If you can give Fulton, if you can give Grady, if you can give Washington, if you can give Carver, listen, we're going to play 7. You're getting 7, and you're still going to have a chance to get in the playoffs. I understand where they're coming from.
You got to be grateful for any game you get. Any game you get. If you get one, be grateful you got one.
They canceled football in North Carolina yesterday. Those kids would take 7 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's so sad. And then we talked about this earlier before the show, and the fact that next week you get Tennessee and Alabama starting up.
Alabama, that is massive for everybody in the South. If those games go off the weekend, 2 weeks from now, those games are fine. It's going to relay. The information is going to relay on at the collegiate level. Everybody's going to have their eyes. I'm very interested in what Dr. Hines says tonight about Tennessee and Alabama. There's major games next Thursday, really good games next Thursday in Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to that schedule, by the way, for everybody who wants to know what the story is across the rest of the Southeast. I've got the schedule here, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the broadcast.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I was going to say, one of those games, I think it's the Thursday game you're talking about, is hosted at Spanish Fort, which is in Mobile County. Well, actually, it's in a different county. But those counties all around the Mobile area have recently passed a rule that all the games will be played with a restriction on the number of fans in the stadium.
That's going to be anywhere. I think that's going to be anywhere. I like to have Dr. Hines tonight. A lot of questions for him. That's going to be anywhere. I know I'm a part of the Corky Kell committee. I know what was going on in Rome. They were around 8,000 last year where Marietta played Rome at that second game. Mm-hmm. This year had Rome played Rockmart, which would have been a big game. Mm-hmm. There could only be 3,500 in the stadium. So you look at the capacity there of a stadium. So the best I've heard is 50% anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm expecting 25, 30% numbers.
Well, like we're saying, be grateful you get to play one game.
Yeah.
Be grateful if you get to play that game and there's no fans there.
Yeah.
Be grateful you get a football game, whoever you are. And I think we were talking before the show, Chris, the ability to broadcast games now via the internet, and we were talking about this too, Doug.
Yeah.
It's going to be more important now than it's ever been.
The difference in high school, they need that gate.
They need the gate.
There's no CBS SEC money.
Right.
Yeah.
The SEC doesn't need fans. NFL doesn't have to have one fan anywhere. High school football needs that gate.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Doug, you were talking about how you appreciate every game, but you said, is it at Johns Creek? They're doing the very first game is going to be senior night just to make sure they're able to get that in?
So actually, it's going to be the Battle of Buckhead.
Okay.
So Westminster at Lubbock.
Okay, there it goes.
They're going to do senior night on the first game of the year.
Very smart.
Which is a
is.
smart move.
I thought so too.
They're only letting the parents, and I think it's not just senior parents. I think they're allowing the parents of all the players, cheerleaders, band. They're allowed to be there, but nobody else.
That's
I suppose now that we've mentioned Westminster and Lovett, this seems like a good time to go ahead and mention. Keep in mind, we will start our coverage here on the High School Football Voice of the South that weekend, September 4th.
How about that?
Fingers crossed.
Does that not give you butterflies just to say we're going to see high school football?
You have no idea
we're like
how
the
happy
kids.
I am.
We got to get there.
Yeah.
We have got to.
We got to get there.
Yep.
But we'll start our coverage September 4th, ideally 7 p.m. of course, over on the Extra, through the Extra app as well, with Westminster and Westminster and Lovett, the Battle of Buckhead. And this seems like a great time to announce the Dickey Broadcasting family of stations is now the exclusive home of the Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show.
Awesome.
Very pleased to announce this. We will be broadcasting across 50-plus affiliates throughout the state of Georgia. That obviously also means we'll bleed into Florida and the Carolinas, Tennessee, and into Alabama. And you'll be able to find us on the multitude of the Dickey Broadcasting family of stations. The DBC, 680, and the Extra, now your new home for the Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show.
And as a guy who listens to your show every Friday as I drive home from a game I just called.
Thank you, Doug. You don't have to say that. Nobody believes you do that.
The one thing, well, sometimes it's hard to pick you up, but I always get you somehow. I manage
That's
to make
why
it
you
happen.
get the app, buddy.
Man.
You can listen anytime, anywhere, pal.
Now that I have Apple CarPlay,
There
yes,
you
I can
go.
do the app in my
Big
car.
time.
But I'll tell you this, you guys have always done this, and it's going to be more valuable now than ever. You guys have a great statewide perspective. You don't just talk about Atlanta, so I think everyone around the state is going to realize the thorough kind of coverage you guys have provided.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good. It's exciting to just talk about the fact that high school football is coming around, and you guys know, for me, I've got a kid that plays high school football, and this is something new. We had the freshman year, now leading into the sophomore year, and there's so many questions about what's going on with football. And my kid even asks me all the time. He's like, "Dad, what are you hearing?" I know what I'm hearing. His social media is just like it's almost like a huge just misdirection, because there's so many things. No different than what we had earlier. We had a major news agency in town tweet out that all the high school games are going to be pushed back, and then it turns out not to be the case. So if major news outlets are making that mistake, you can bet what kids are reading on social media, and adults too for that matter, is going to be just off the charts and most of the time wrong.
And one of the things we're going to lose is I myself have two high schoolers. They were a freshman and a sophomore this past year, and they're both big sports fans, and they both love to watch. But my younger one, the one who was in ninth grade, never wants to see live sports. And I twisted his arm, and I made him go to a Johns Creek playoff game last year, and he freaking loved it. And he's probably not going to get that experience this year. And, I guess my point is, it's such a big socially binding time at that point in your life to go to games with everybody from school and all be there with that common goal and that common experience. To not have that, which is possible this year, it's an important loss if it's not there.
As we wait on Mr. Hines about the season, and then we all have questions for him, the question that I get asked and people talk to me about more than any other is recruiting, right? And Rusty, I'll direct this to you because that's the world that you live in, and you own that in that space. But there's so many parents that are so concerned about kids not being able to get recruited, or if the season were not to happen, how do they get recruited? What's the and I don't know that there's an easy answer.
Nobody's been through this. So it's not so much the Kirby Smarts and the Nick Sabans and the Jeremy Pruitts. Those guys have been identified. They've tested those guys before. They've been on campus before. Those guys have been recruited 3 or 4 years now. It's the senior at Marist that grew a little bit this year that Air Force may offer or Middle Tennessee may offer. They never got to go on campus. They never got to get in front of that staff. And college staff has to be scratching their heads because now they've got to trust the tape and they got to trust that height and weight.
And trust the coach, because I'll talk to the high school coaches. But so when we were preparing for the show today, I thought, here's what I'm going to hit Rusty with. I'm going to say, Rusty.
It's got to be the Gator.
Yeah, you got to.
No, it's going to be every school that has a scholarship to offer is going to give it to somebody.
Sure.
So somebody's going to get it. But then I was talking to a college coach on my way on the drive here, and I said, hey, Coach, with all this stuff that's going on with teams, going down and not going to be able to play, and maybe the transfer portal is going to go crazy, are you going to hold more scholarships back? He's, oh, yeah. He's like, we've already told them to freeze on our recruiting. They're way out there. They got like 19 commits. But he's saying, I told my guys we're not taking any more commitments. We're going to wait and see what happens with transfers because they're just going to go bananas this year.
It's not going to be so much the Big Ten and Pac-12 because here's the key word. It was postponed. It's not canceled.
That's correct.
Right. So nobody's just flying out of Ohio State. Justin Fields is not just going to roll out and go, guys, I'm out. I'm going to LSU.
Not that he would anyway, because he'd be preparing for the NFL.
He's coming back to Georgia, but it's to practice for Sunday.
You're right.
But it's the January transfer portal because when that rule goes in effect, it's going to forever change college football. And if you don't have spots, I'm talking to some schools that normally would sign 25 to thinking, you know what, we may save 3, which is Power 5 major schools may save 3 for the transfer portal.
And those are the guys who maybe they would be so knocked out by a late bloomer who would say, we're going to use one of them right now
what's
on this quarterback
bad?
I just saw.
Doug's not going to like this, but schools like South Alabama.
Why would he do that?
Louisiana Lafayette.
Right.
Anybody that has an All-American right tackle that has grown, and you know what? If Tennessee needs one,
you've got the
Carolina
evidence.
Needs one.
You've been able to see them.
We're going to walk in there and we're going to take that kid. Now, that's going to work both ways. The third-string linebacker at Georgia Tech who's not playing, who could start at South Alabama and be really good, he's going to go to South Alabama. Yeah. So it's going to work, but I'm telling you, some of these schools, bless their hearts, they are about to get cherry-picked.
They're about to be the minor leagues.
They are.
Bless their heart.
We are still efforting Robin Hines. Obviously, he's very busy. I would not be surprised if we're in that rule. Yeah, if we're in a holding pattern with Robin Hines, because if you're just joining us, we've had potentially some breaking news that we're all still trying to sort through, that Fulton County may have pushed back the start of their school year. And, guys, the second thing for me is I can't help but think about the kids who are growing up in an impoverished area. Yeah. Kids who really, really need football to help them get a scholarship to get the hell out of where they're at right now. I'm just going to put it that bluntly. I mean, look, that's just the bottom line. To get out of where they're at right now so that they can actually get an education, be the first person in their family to get to college or maybe to get a degree. And that's where a lot of kids, we have to hope, don't get lost in the shuffle.
Well, two things. One is their head coach. Like, I remember Keith Maloof over at Norcross is great about this. He'll work his butt off trying to find a D2 opportunity for a kid in his team that's in the situation you're describing.
Ron Gartrell.
Yeah, he's got a whole staff that does it.
Stevenson High School. Sorry.
Yeah, those guys are obviously, they know what's at stake, and they're going to work hard for their guys.
You're listening to the Georgia High School Football Roundtable here on The Fan, 680 93.7 FM. Stream live to thefan.com. You go to the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and like while you're there. Along with Rusty Mansell, we got Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel. I'm Tug Cowart. This is The Fan, 680 93.7 FM.
Stream the Braves for free at home. Just tell your smart speaker to play 680 The Fan, and you'll get the live stream of Atlanta Braves baseball totally free.
Austin Riley sends one a mile high to deep left field, and he hits a ball off the facing of the upper deck, home run.
Plus, you can always drop in on your favorite fan shows any time of day and listen to the Braves Radio Network all season for free.
The Braves' 2020 60-game season is underway, and we've seen Marcell Ozuna and Dansby Swanson home runs, Max Fried strikeouts, and more excitement from our young stars. And don't forget, the MLB All-Star Game is coming to Truist Park in 2021. And the only way to guarantee your access to the events of MLB All-Star Week, including the Home Run Derby and MLB All-Star Game, is by becoming an A-List season ticket member. Head to Braves.com/A-List for more info. Atlanta Braves Baseball for the A.
We're seeing more and more cars on the road right now. We know people haven't been driving for weeks. That means we could see careless drivers and an increase of accidents. Drive safely, be careful out there, but if you do get hit by another driver, call our guy Bruce Hagan. Bruce and his team are working hard to protect their clients, allowing a free initial consultation by phone or video conference with all the necessary documents signed remotely through a secure server. Go to Hagan-Law.com to get in touch with Bruce Hagan, the people's lawyer. That's Hagan-Law.com.
At Racetrack, you can always get what you really want. For Dean, it's a fully loaded hot dog and a frozen drink. For Michelle, it's a slice of hot pizza and a Swirl World ice cream with extra gummy bears. And for you, well, that's your choice. Because at Racetrack, there's never a wrong way to start the day right. Racetrack, whatever gets you going.
Hey, it's John Kincaid for my friends at 52 Weeks Financial. Everybody could use solid advice, especially right now in these volatile economic times. My friends at 52 Weeks Financial are here to help you out. Do you have an old 401k that you don't know what to do with? Maybe the money you've got sitting in a big bank isn't growing fast enough for you. Are you worried about paying for that college education? Their team is deeply committed to finding the right solutions for their clients, and we're getting introduced to them here with my family. 52weeksfinancial.com. Put some social distance between yourself and market losses.
Hey, it's Stakey with a question for you. Is your crawl space nasty, damp, and humid? Do you have high energy bills, high humidity, musty smells, or insects inside? Gross! Well, your crawl space could need some work. And if you have a vented dirt crawl space, it's basically like keeping your front door open at all times. Uncomfortable, unhealthy, and costing you a fortune. The vents in your crawl space allow also hot humidity to enter that. Humidity then circulates, causing condensation, and this is the worst, mold spore growth. Awful stuff. You know how you deal with it? AquaGuard Foundation Solutions. They're there to waterproof, encapsulate, and dehumidify your crawl space. They've patented and proven systems, all nationally backed by lifetime, fully transferable warranties. Don't have any of that gross stuff happening to you. Call today or get online. Visit AquaGuard.net. They're my guys. They'll take care of you. AquaGuard.net. AquaGuard. Strength, stability, peace of mind.
AquaGuard. Fall sports for high school students are changing by the day, and the Fan staff is here to get you the latest updates. This is the Georgia High School Athletics Roundtable with Cowart, Doug Konkel, and Rusty Mansell, exclusively on the Fan.
As news changes by the second about Georgia high school football, we're here to cover it with you. My name is Doug Cowart. Thank you so much for checking us out on The Fan, 680 93.7 FM, as well as 680thefan.com, and on YouTube. If anybody was having trouble with that, that is back. It is up. It's fixed, and we certainly are glad of that. We want to welcome in Robin Hines. He's the GHSA president to The Fan. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
I'm not the president, but it's good to be here.
Well, right on. Well,
that's not your fault, by the way, Tug. I meant to tell you that. I saw somebody type that out.
Yeah.
Executive director. That's all right.
ED, executive director, which is, I mean, look, both. I'll take either one. That's a pretty good little title. but we certainly welcome you.
You can have it.
Yeah, sure. I can only imagine right now it is one of those that make you want to pull your hair out.
Yeah, I'm ready for somebody else to take. So if there are any takers out there, just let me know. We can probably make that happen.
Dr. Hines, Chris Mooneyham here. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, especially on another wild day in these unprecedented times. What have you heard about Fulton County, and where do we stand after yesterday's release? I'm trying to read between the lines. Are you starting to get a feel that we may have to push back the state in its entirety? And what have you heard about Fulton County tonight?
Well, first off, how you doing?
I'm doing.
How's your mom and them?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. And you?
I hadn't talked to you in a while.
Yes, sir.
I just received a text that they pushed it back 10 days, and what the Board of Trustees did is they went and they moved the season back to September the 4th. A while back, and there are a lot of school systems out there. We've got 470 schools, and the majority of those schools are ready to move forward and get things going. And we've said from the get-go that it's certainly a choice. It's a choice of whether student athletes participate, or their parents want to participate, or the local schools want to participate, or the local districts want to participate. I know that the virus is not going away. Okay, I mean, guys, we can expect this to be going on for a while, and what the job of the Georgia High School Association is we want to provide guidance for our member schools so that we can mitigate the spread and those sorts of things, and so that we can get the risk down. And then people have to measure the risk versus the benefit, and we know what the benefits are. We've seen the study coming out of Wisconsin about the mental health, the social health of the kids that had their sports taken away from them. We know the benefits of athletics and that sort of thing. And I think it's our job to provide those opportunities and a framework for doing that. But then the decision really comes at the local level and down at the micro local level as well. You asked about Fulton County. I did receive a text where they had postponed all competition until I believe it was the 14th of September, and that's all I know.
Dr. Hines, Rusty Mansell, how you doing?
You learned.
Dr. Hines, in a lot of your schools.
Better not deserve.
In a lot of your schools, talk to a lot of coaches, obviously, and the questions always is, we've been through a lot. We've done what they've asked. We kind of just want an answer, and I know this kind of week to week. The latest thing, and being on the road this past week, a lot of people want to know about the state of Tennessee and Alabama. They are starting next Thursday with real games. Are you guys paying attention to what's going on there? You're going to kind of watch how it goes there. And my next question is always from parents. What is the situation with fans? What are we looking like capacity-wise? Is that going to be a local decision? Couple questions there. Tennessee, Alabama, and what are we looking at capacity-wise?
Okay, first off, just let me tell you that I'm a little challenged and multiple questions give me problems sometimes. But I talked to those guys today, as a matter of fact. And, if you remember just a little history here, Tennessee, their governor stepped in and said there would be no contact sports, which for them was soccer and football, and said they wouldn't have those until whenever it was. I can't remember, January or whatever. Well, the pressure, as my understanding, was so great, and, people want their sports and that sort of thing. He overturned that. They're back on schedule.
Correct.
They're back at their original schedule, and their fall sports are moving forward. I talked to Bernard today, and they're similar with us with their concerns and the way that they've done things and their guidance and all. I mean, we're all a lot alike.
Sure.
And what they believe is what I believe, which is that we're here to provide opportunities, and we want to provide a framework and do it as safely as we possibly can. But ultimately, it's going to be the parents and the local district's decision to participate.
Yep.
That being said, their first football game is going to be August 21st, and they're ready to roll.
Yep.
The same thing is in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to go. They've never wavered. They're going to get it going. And one thing that Steve Savarese, the executive director over there, says that I certainly echo is the Georgia High School Association shouldn't get into the medical issues of the local districts. We can't do that. There's a lot of folks that want us to go in and make their decisions for them. That's not it. I'm a retired superintendent, and, I felt like that the best decisions made for my school district were the ones that were made right there at home. We knew what was going on there. We knew what our situation was, and I think that's the way it is. I think that, once again, we should be providing the framework and the guidelines for them to follow, and then they make the decision. Ultimately, it comes down to, does the student want to play? Do their parents want them to play? North Carolina's taking a different route. They're just kind of jumbled up, and they don't start anything until the 4th. And Mississippi is just like we are. They're starting on September the 4th, and their issues are what your second question is about. What about spectators and those sorts of things? So I'll jump on that now too. All right, I've asked everybody about everything throughout this whole process. And basically it comes down to, we can't make that decision for you. You make that decision on the local level. That comes from the Department of Public Health. That's all those things, and I think that, it's kind of where we need to be. But we have sent guidance out. There are people that said that 35 to 45% capacity, but we can't even get any metrics on what it is that we should be looking at, at this particular point. We talk about the positivity rate, and, the Department of Public Health says, well, we need to get below 10, but below 5 is optimum. For instance, we understand that. But is there a number that we can look at that says that we should move forward? No, that's for y'all to decide. So it's the deeper that we get into this, the more we understand that this is all new to us. We're writing the manual as we move forward, and it hadn't been a whole lot of fun. And I can just tell you this. I know that overall, anecdotally, our schools, our coaches, our players, our parents, according to the traffic that I'm getting with phone calls, text messages, emails, and all that, they're ready to move forward.
Definitely.
They're ready to go. And there are some that don't, but it's a fraction, of that. But we're going to take all that into consideration. We're going to meet weekly with our sports medicine group, our advisory council, our physicians, and we even differ on some things there. And what we've done so far is what we've agreed upon. I do my best to build consensus and all that, and I know what our Constitution and bylaws say, and I know, what my scope of duties are and what I'm supposed to be doing. I understand all that. But I try to get as many people in the boat with me rowing in the same direction as I possibly can, and it's frustrating. And so, I'll leave it there and let y'all come in because I'm rambling.
No, I think, but I think everybody is in that same boat, Dr. Hines. I think a lot of people feel the exact same way you do. So I don't think that part's unique. I think a lot of people are there just a little frustrated. We're talking to Dr. Robin Hines, Executive Director of the GHSA, here on the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM, as well as streamed to YouTube.
Dr. Hines, this is Doug Konkel. And by the way, I think executive directors are so much cooler than presidents.
I think so too, man.
There's no doubt.
Well, we
better
get
looking
paid.
too.
We get paid, and we're better looking, yeah.
Oh, man, the entire package. There's no doubt. So when we talk about college players, a lot of the words that come up are legal liability. Is that something that concerns you at the high school level as well? Are the lawyers involved at all in terms of telling you the right decision? Or is basically you can do a liability waiver, or is it just because schools enjoy a certain amount of governmental protection, you don't have to worry about that as much?
Well, there is governmental protection, but not with us. We're a private organization, but waivers. We're a voluntary organization. You don't want to be a part of us. You don't have to be a part of us. The sports and all that are voluntary as well. So, a waiver may make you feel good and everything, but I don't know if it's legally sound. And I've certainly asked that question of our counsel, and that's the answer that I got. But there's some things that you do to remind people of things and make them feel better. One example is I would like for our officials. I've asked that our officials ask the coaches. Before every game, you say, "Coach, are your players appropriately equipped?" Okay, we've asked that for years. Now I want them to ask, to the best of your knowledge, are your players healthy? COVID-free, no positive cases, not running a fever, and those sorts of things. Certainly it's not binding, and nobody's going to do it, but it's a reminder that we want to continue that screening process to have as many things in play as possible so that we make sure that we're as safe as we can possibly be. Now, that being said, if we think that there are not going to be positive cases in there, then, I don't know what we're thinking, because it's going to happen. You go to school, it's going to happen. But let me say this. If we don't have sports, if you cancel the whole thing, who's regulating the club sports? Who's regulating the 7-on-7 leagues that are going to pop up?
That's a really good point. Nobody.
The basketball teams in Atlanta last week.
Yes.
We at least have some guidelines and some restrictions involved. I think our kids are better off with our coaches who are going to take care of them as best as they possibly can. So,
Yep.
There you go. There's my soapbox.
Wrapping up
a little bit.
Wrapping up with the Executive Director of the Georgia High School Association, Dr. Robin Hines. All right, last one, Dr. Hines, and I got to ask you one for all the diehard high school football fans listening or watching us on the YouTube channel, the playoffs. All of these schedules, some of these schedules have been blown all to you-know-what. Others have been at least altered. Have you all at the Georgia High School Association, or have you at all, or when will you, because at some point you'll have to, started to discuss how are we going to figure out who makes the playoffs?
We have discussed that from day one, and it's set in stone. There's not a problem. It's going to be the same way that it's always been in the Georgia High School Association. The regions determine who the playoff participants are.
Right.
There could be some things that change that might change the structure of the playoffs, but who goes to the playoffs and whatever structure that is up to the regions, and they make that determination. They move forward. Now, our deal is if there's somebody that pulls out and doesn't play the whole time and all that, who fills the gap? Will there be buys in the playoffs and those sorts of things? But yeah, we've talked about all of that stuff.
Dr. Hines?
Shouldn't be an issue.
Dr. Hines, we certainly appreciate your time, and just I can't imagine what you're having to go through with all the hoops and the obstacles to try to make this thing work for everybody. And we appreciate your service to the Georgia High School Association.
It's certainly been difficult, and we're doing this on top of everything else that we ordinarily do. So it's been a long, tiring summer so far, but hopefully we're getting close to getting to the other side of it. Guys, I appreciate you having me and call me anytime.
Thank you, Dr. Hines.
Man, what a great guy.
Thank
you. You love his passion. You can just, he cares about what's happening. He's, it's like you said, it's a voluntary organization. But
I'm thinking about it the whole time. How many times a day is he charging his phone?
Oh, my gosh.
Right. I mean, it's like National Signing Day every day for him.
Yeah, right.
You got 500 schools want to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's going to be wild for the state, guys, because for those of you that are not diehards out there, remember, 8 regions in each classification, top 4 in each region clinch a playoff berth. If you can't think about that, the way it works, it's like if Georgia finished number 2, if the SEC East finished, Georgia, Florida, Doug.
There we go.
Tennessee and Kentucky.
You're allowed to be wrong.
That means that those 4 teams would clinch a playoff berth and go to the state tournament. That's going to be very hard to figure out when you've got one team in your region that's played 8 and the others played 3.
Did you guys, and don't tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Did you get the vibe we're playing from him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It
I'm
did
sitting
seem
here
that
at
way.
my phone. These coaches are texting me, and I wish I could use the expletives they were saying.
Right.
But from what he just talked to, what he sounded like, buckle it up, boys, September 4th.
No doubt about it.
His whole thing about like 7-on-7 and all that, like who's going to watch these kids if they're not with us?
Yep.
You know that's what he means.
Speaking of a coach who feels that way, Tug.
Yep, Coach Franklin Stevens from McEachern. Coach, did you get that impression too? I don't know how much you were able to hear of Dr. Hines, but we all got the impression that they're ready to move forward and play football here in Georgia.
I didn't hear much of it, but from my understanding, that's kind of been the get-go with Georgia High School, Mr. Hines, the fact that they want to kind of push forward and play the season. I think that, they kind of try to adhere to what was going on with the governor and other things, but I think at the end of it, they would like to have a football season this year.
Hey, Coach Stevens, Doug Konkel, thanks so much for joining us. Being at a powerhouse school like McEachern, certainly recruiting is a big part of your job, helping these young men find places to go to on the next level. Tell us about the impact of what's happened over the course of the summer, the loss of the camps, and how hard is it to find maybe not your top guys that everybody wants. Tell us about the couple of tiers down, those guys that might ordinarily have gone to an FCS or a D2 or something like that. What falls on you to help these guys find a place?
Well, I think, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Those Power 5 guys, they kind of take care of themselves. However, spring is very important for a lot of those guys who, we have some guys that didn't get an opportunity to play a lot last year, and this was supposed to be their time.
Yep.
And, to catch some of those guys' attention when they come in was going to be their spring. It's kind of like an audition for employment. And missing out on that and then missing out on the opportunity to go to camps possibly this summer, I think it's going to affect those guys drastically. And, ironic that you said that. Me and my wife, we were having that conversation this evening, She was asking me, well, what are those guys going to do? How's it going to affect those guys if we don't have a season or if the season is short? And, one of the things I told my guys, I told them yesterday, I said, practice right now as we're practicing with pads on, it is so important because of the fact that you may have to use some of that practice film to try to sell yourself through the course of the next couple of months. So every rep that you take, it's an interview. It's very, very important that you don't take it for granted. It's just practice. But I do believe that those guys are going to be severely impacted based on some of those guys not having an opportunity. I used the term audition back last spring.
Coach Stevens, Rusty Mansell, how you doing, my man?
I'm great. How you doing, Davis?
I'm here, and I feel better after listening to Dr. Hines. I'm all over the state, so, I hear different opinions and different things, but, that is the guy right now. To listen to him, that makes me feel like to get myself prepared and start looking at rosters. I'm going to switch gears, Coach, because I want to talk specifically, and this is maybe not this, I want to talk about your quarterback. This is a young man that I don't think a whole lot of people know about, and me and you've had many conversations. Many conversations.
I was going to call you the other day and say, hey, man, you haven't been out to see us yet. We got
look, man, you know I'm coming by McEachern. I get the, hey, man, can you leave Rome, McEachern, Marietta alone? You're there all the time. So I got to make it look good for everybody else, Coach. But I always enjoy coming to McEachern. I know you guys are loaded, but the people of the state are going to find out that you got a young man, Mr. Bryce Archie, big-time baseball prospect. I think he's got a tremendous ceiling as a quarterback. Tell me what you see out of him.
I totally agree. I think that, Bryce is what you want in a quarterback. If you're looking for a quarterback, he's going to grow a little bit more. We like for him to be a little bit heavier. And, I joke with him all the time that he's a pocket passer, and he wants to say that, he's a dual-threat guy. And he does. He has pretty good legs. He can run the football. But I think that, just the ability, some of the throws he's been making this fall camp, I'll text Coach Cook, the quarterback coach, and I said, did you see such and such on clip, whatever, just because of some of the things he's been doing and just, having that command of what we're trying to get done. I think that, as you said, he's got a big-time arm. From what I can tell, he can make all the throws that people talk about. He's got good length. He's got a quick delivery. I don't know if that's because of baseball. He's got a lot of velocity on the football. I just remember playing Marietta last year. And golly, the quarterback slips my mind. I can't remember his name now. The one that went to Tennessee.
Harrison Bailey.
I just remember thinking, Bailey. I remember going, dang, that ball went whizzing through the air. I was like, God dang, that thing is moving. Like I said, you can't appreciate how fast it's moving sometimes until you're out there with them and they're throwing that thing. And Bryce has that kind of pop and velocity when it comes out of his hand. It's a great ball. Like I said, one thing that I've been noticing is he's throwing the ball, we call it that catchable ball, and anticipate where the guys are going to be and, to make those catches. And like I said, he can deliver from a lot of different angles. And, the thing that, he's still got to learn is just the talent is there, but he's still got to learn how to manage games and manage situations and all those types of things. That's just going to come with more and more game experience. But I think that you look at it as a coach, you look at all these different guys that are being built up, and rightfully so. Those guys are going out and proving themselves. But I think that he's ready to do his thing this year and have a good year for us. And not just a good year, a great year for us. And Coach, the big thing for us is just protecting him behind that young offensive line we're going to have.
Coach Franklin, Stephen Z is head coach at McEachern here on Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM. Also streaming to YouTube, Chris Mooneyham.
Yeah, Coach Chris Mooneyham here. Good to be on with you. You just mentioned your young offensive line. You guys are going to have a combination this year of new guys starting and then some returners as well. So you've got this dichotomous type situation here. And I want to transfer that into the talk of COVID-19. Limited practice, back and forth. We're practicing, we're not practicing. We're scrimmaging, we're not scrimmaging. We're playing, we're not playing. How have the men reacted to all the changes that you guys have had?
Oh, I think our guys have handled it very well. We've kind of been in accordance with what Georgia High School and Cowart kind of set forth. We started back in June 18th in the small groups, and then we moved along like everyone else did. We've had some of our issues in regards to dealing with it, but I think the kids have been very, very positive about it. I give credit to our parents. We've had some parents that, they decided that this may not have been for them, but then we've had some parents, they've been wholehearted with it in regards to, just the overall situation. But like I said, I think we've handled it very well. Our kids are aware. It's not one of those things that, we've tried to hide or shy away from it in regards to it. Some things, when certain things happen because of medical laws and whatnot, you can't really, divulge too much information. But I've been pleasantly surprised in regards to how it's kind of proceeded.
I'll give you all a quick Coach Stevens story here. We're sitting in McEachern last year. We're sitting in McEachern last year during December, and listen, he lost a lot. I mean, this is a very young team, very, very talented team, but he lost a ton on the offense. He's not just coach speak to y'all. Yeah. He lost a lot up front, and this is a very, very talented young team. I looked at him and I said, Coach, do you want to open with Hoover and Mercedes-Benz for Corky Kell? And he kind of put his arm around him and said, do you want to stay friends, Rusty? And I said, that's awesome. I got you, Coach. We'll chalk that up for 2 years. And he had so many, lose it. He's like, you want to stay friends? Don't bring that up again for a while. I don't know why you got to rub that in my face.
Well, I mean, it was one of those things where, we're going to be young at certain positions and on the offense line. But the thing about it is that I like about it, that I'm excited about them, is that they work hard, they understand what we want to get done, and they're big. Yeah. So, and they've got some size coming. So I'm excited about the next couple of years in regards to finally. Last year we had some large defensive linemen and we had some good offensive linemen, but we weren't big. Yeah. And all of a sudden now, over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to have a chance to play 7A football with some big guys up front.
I tell people all the time, if you haven't seen the facilities at McEachern High School,
Right.
It is
yeah,
absolutely
amazing.
Incredible. That stadium, incredible.
We're 7-0.
I agree. I mean, I'm going to go all over. Colquitt's got an indoor, some places got Camden County's got a weight room. It looks like Georgia or Alabama. Total facilities and property and what else goes on McEachern.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Incredible facility.
And then I'm gonna throw a plug out there for our administration. We got unbelievable
great,
administration.
yes,
from our principal IED. I mean, it's just unbelievable right now the things that we have in place.
Coach, I always want to ask you quickly because I have a rising sophomore who plays football, and I'm having a hard time keeping him focused because he's got so many questions about what's coming down. How are you keeping an entire roster of football players focused and not concerned with, hey, we might play, we might not, and we just need to focus on what we can control? How do you do that?
I think it's a process of convincing kids to focus on the things they can control day in and day out. There's a lot of things that you can't control, so let's not. And it gets into scripture. You can't worry about things you can't control. What can we control today? Now, once we leave here, that's a different story. Like I said, he's here you as a parent, but as a coach, you may not be having those same questions. But you're just convincing them that and continuously talking to them and telling them about what can we control. And there's no difference in the game. It doesn't really matter who we play. It's all about what can we do as the McEachern Indians to get ourselves prepared the best that we can. And that's just kind of been the thing from day one. I learned with Coach Herring, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We're going to go about our business each and every day the same way, whether we're playing this team, whether we're playing this team, whether we're in the first round, second round, first game. Business is business, and that's how we're going to proceed about taking care of it.
I love it.
Don't worry about those things.
I love that. Coach Franklin Stevens of McEachern High School, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much. God bless you, and y'all have a great season.
See you soon, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
I tell you, what a passionate guy. You can hear the passion in his voice.
You're talking about a great man.
Yeah.
You're talking about a great football coach, but a great, great man.
Yeah, you can hear it. Like I said, you can hear, I feel like, and because I've never been around him. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but you can just hear, and I think you guys do this every weekend, you can hear that passion, because I hear all the time that when they get to the college level, they don't care about the kids anymore. It's all about winning, and some of that probably is true. At the high school level, I don't know that there's, with the exception of maybe one that I can think of off the top of my head that maybe puts winning before kids. Around here, I don't see that. I can't imagine that's the case.
He wins everywhere.
Yeah, you really can't fake that. And that's how those guys get that high in that profession.
I tweeted it out when McEachern hired Franklin Stevens. I said, this may be the greatest hire in the history of Georgia high school football.
They're going to
win. They're going to win there.
That's a big statement there. Going to go down and check in with Coach Bob Sphire from Camden County. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on The Fan.
Hey, guys.
It's a pleasure to have you. Just a lot of chaos when it comes to the Georgia High School Association high school football. It's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of head scratching. What's your take on everything that's happening and how everything's happening and unraveling and changing second by second?
Well, let me just say this: y'all talked a lot about recruiting and some of that stuff. So we had an inter-squad scrimmage scheduled today. We got 15 plays in, and the storm came. So I actually got back in time to my office to hear Dr. Hines get interviewed.
That was positive.
And the first thing I'm going to say is this: how blessed are we in the state of Georgia?
Very true.
To have a gentleman like that with a level head, who's so professional, who has gone about this process, taking everything in play, taking all the advice, all the information, but yet being steady and consistent in his beliefs and the importance of football or all sports, et cetera. I can't say enough about how, if you listen to that, as stressful as this is in his time,
yes, sir.
If we learn nothing else through this process, we've got great leadership in that position. And you asked me a question that kind of leads me on to piggyback on that. One of my frustrations has been is I think he's had too many that want to build a better mousetrap than he's trying to build, or they think they have a way. And I hope, for one, that we kind of start backing off and let him do his job.
Very good point.
Coach Sphire, Doug Konkel here. By the way, still sounds so odd to say Camden County. You're North Gwinnett to me, still in my head. I gotta flip that switch at some point. Hey, so I got a question for you. As we know, with schools starting back all over the state, a lot of schools have rules. We know the rules they've been asking everyone to follow for months in terms of social distancing and whatnot. Do you think it's going to be easier to get your players to follow those rules more than the regular student body because they all know what's at stake in terms of their football seasons and being able to play on Friday nights?
Oh, absolutely. We were one of the first schools to start in Georgia, and it's gone great. And you know, I'm very blessed. I can't say enough about the leadership here and the approach they've gone about and the way they've been steady in their process. Our superintendent, Dr. Tucker, and our school board have just been phenomenal. And everybody can debate there's nobody wrong in this debate. And actually nobody's right. There's just got to be sound decisions that are made in the best interest of everybody. And our folks, we started school early, one of the first in Georgia, and it's gone really, really well. And they started first, somewhat with legal advice, et cetera. Highly recommend masks, not required. But from a football standpoint, I know this: we expect them to wear masks in their class, because if someone had the virus and they were in class wearing a mask, there's a much less chance that they were going to have to get opted out or get traced out, et cetera. Now, that's not on us to decide. That's the healthcare people. But but now our school system, as of now, coming next Monday, has mandated mask wearing by all the students and all the faculty all day long. So that's that's just piggybacking on what we were trying to get our players to do to begin with.
Coach, Chris Mooneyham here. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
We were a look behind the curtain for everybody out there in listener land and viewer land. I lined up Coach Sphire for the broadcast. We go way back. I knew he'd be a great interview and would give us real tangible information. I wanted to bring up something that I brought up with you earlier today when we were texting back and forth. I spoke with a couple of coaches who are of your age, and obviously I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way. I just mean literally they're about your age. And a couple of the coaches brought up something really interesting to me. I'd like to get your thought on it. They questioned their own leadership just as far as the older generation being a little scared to put the younger people out there for fear of failure, for fear of making a mistake. What do you think about that?
Oh, Chris, you've led me down. You've got me in the
here we go.
Now.
Let's go. Sit down and buckle up. Buckle it up, guys.
I'm just going to say this. I'm not a spring chicken, but I don't know who that guy's in the mirror, because I still think I'm 25. and it, obviously coaching young kids and the passion for the game keeps me feeling like I'm 25. But I'm not. But let me just say this. I am really frustrated that I feel like there's a big part of my generation that is wanting to have their lives saved by holding the youth from living. And I don't mean to be in any way cold-hearted. The virus is real. The dangers are real. I 100% get it. But this is a choice. You don't have to play. You don't have to come. You could go virtual online at Camden County. Now, to be involved in activities, you had to come to school face-to-face. That's the way we did it here. But for someone like me to try to hold this generation up from living their life and moving forward, I don't get that. I don't understand that. If I need to double mask, if I need to also wear a face shield, if we need to get creative and build a gosh-dang plexiglass booth in the freaking weight room for me to stand in and be protected so these kids can get to work in, we got to do what we got to do. It doesn't need to be on me to hold them up. That's just the way I feel about it. You know, I heard Move Hope say, don't keep me alive by keeping me from living. Well, don't keep me alive by keeping the kids from living.
Love it.
Dude, that's the quote of the day right there. Awesome. That's so good.
Coach Rusty Mansell, and I'm the story guy here. We go a long way back. And I want some of them we won't share tonight. But
Lord.
I'll say this. The first time I met Coach Sphire, I'm standing in the middle of the field, and he's got North Gwinnett over there, and it's not the biggest team he's had. It's not the most talented team he's had. And you watch Burns, South Carolina, come out of the locker room, and I'm telling you, it looked like the L.A. Raiders were about to play Carson Newman.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I said, Coach, God bless you. And I tell you what, for 3.5 quarters, that North Gwinnett team gave one of the best teams in the country all they can handle. All they can handle. And a young man named Marcus Lattimore took the game over, and they had I know Coach talked to us, and I had a costly turnover. It kind of flipped the game in the second half, but to watch what he did that night with I mean, if you would have seen him come on the team, I was like, this is over at half, not even close. And what a hell of a performance that night.
I'll say this. You didn't have to bless me because I was blessed to be able to coach in a game like that.
Oh, wow.
Coach a group of kids like we had at North Gwinnett. Those kids were blessed to be able to be in a game like that.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there was too much Marcus Lattimore come fourth quarter.
Wow.
But they laid it all out there.
They did. And I'm telling you, your kids' shirts are hanging down to their knees, is all you got. And you look over there, and I'm telling you, like an NFL team. I mean, it looked like an NFL team in high school, and Marcus Lattimore got better as the game went on. As we watched
great running backs,
and we watched him in college. That's what he was pre-injury. But I'll never forget that moment with Coach Sphire, and what a performance by his North Gwinnett team.
I was actually at that game too, and they were an impressive-looking group. I couldn't believe they're only like 4A or something, or 3A in South Carolina.
Never forget them silver helmets coming on that field.
That was a Coliseum, man.
Oh my goodness, boys.
Coach, great effort by your guys that night.
They had three monster defensive linemen that could run probably 4 or 5 40.
Yes.
And Mikey Tambiro was scrambling around one time, and it sounded like a thundering herd of horses that was chasing. And I'm just on the headset going, get down.
Hey, take care of you guys. I love it.
Yep.
Georgia High School Football Roundtable here on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM, as well as stream live to the 680 YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. While you're there, we're talking to Bob Sphire. He is Camden County's head coach.
Yeah, and Coach, we only have about another minute left before we've got to get to break here. But I wanted to ask you about your 2020 version of the Camden County Wildcats. You got some real talent on this team. I think this is the most talented team that's been in that program in probably 8 years, and you got a chance at a state title. Give us about a minute on your team this year.
Well, I love talented players, but I just love high school football, and I just love the chance for these kids to have their season, whether they play 1 snap, 1,000 snaps, or somewhere in between. I want everyone to have a chance to be a part of it. We've gone through a process here of trying to rebuild this thing right. Got a great coaching staff that we put together, and we put in our work, and these kids have put in their work, and this community loves football down here. We had 150 kids out there today, and they just want a chance to play. We're in a tough region. We got a killer schedule. And kind of like we talked about with Burns, our kids are excited about that. We're excited about that. The biggest thing in all this is, as coaches, we have to set our egos aside. We may show up on Friday night against one of the best teams in the state, and we may have 15 of our top kids out that week because of the virus. And we got to show up and play. But you know what? There's going to be kids that are going to get a chance to play that night that maybe wouldn't have. And it's not about me. It's about them. I just hope everybody can keep that in perspective. But, we're blessed to have Michael Morris, who was one of the Super 11 that was picked and going to UGA. Sean Hardy at receivers already committed to Nebraska. Darius Glover committed to Arkansas State the other day. But you know what? Like you all talked about, those kind of take care of themselves. It's these other guys that are going to be D2 guys, et cetera. They need these opportunities. But even with that being said, we're not a farm team for colleges. We work our tails off of those guys. I want them to be able to play high school football and enjoy their high school football time.
Dang, that's passion right there. You can feel it.
Great,
and that's
man.
the one thing that I've noticed just talking to coaches and Dr. Hines tonight is that passion is there for Georgia high school football, and we certainly appreciate your time, Coach. Have a great day. Have a great season.
Up. Let's get ready for September 4th.
I hear you,
Son,
Coach.
let's
See you
go.
soon, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
I got to tell you, that right there is what it's all about. I mean,
Another one.
You're exactly right.
I mean, you could not imagine the times he calls me and says, "Hey, I got a kid.
Yeah.
Check him out." I mean, this guy, he don't have to do that anymore.
No, you're right. But the passion is there. You're listening to the Georgia High School Football Roundtable here on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching us on the YouTube channel.
My name is John. I run a successful business, have 2 kids, and a life savings I've worked hard to achieve. Unfortunately, my wife and I decided to call it quits after 17 years of marriage. I expected her to be fair, but her lawyer called, and the concept of fair went out the window fast. So I called Jared Oxendine and his team at Oxendine Law. They educated me on what to expect when getting divorced, and they were able to protect the health of my business and, of course, the future for my kids.
Call Oxendine Law at 770-497-8688 or visit oxlawfirm.com. Oxendine Law. We play to win.
At Racetrack, there's a place beyond the pump, a place where the options are endless, where warm pizza is always waiting, even for early risers, where the coffee makes itself hot or iced, if you're feeling fancy. So we invite you to step inside and fill up on, well, whatever you want. Racetrack. Whatever gets you going.
Oh,
it's so hot. And you know what that means? That means if your air conditioning unit is not working to its best, its optimum, there's a couple of things that are happening. First of all, you're just burning cash. The other thing is nobody in your house is going to be comfortable or happy. You can fix it with one phone call. 770-GET-HEAT. That's Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Go online at centralheat.com. And remember, most times it's just a repair. They're going to fix it and make it better. They'll give you some tips on how you can save money as well. They've worked on every type of system and every type of home. But if you need a replacement, carrier product, carrier warranty, carrier peace of mind. When it's time for you to turn to the experts, Central Heating and Air Conditioning and Carrier.
I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. Most of Metro Atlanta has been working on projects around the house lately. I've also been working on projects for All Four Seasons. The one I'm the most excited about is our garage door builder and entry door builder for the website. Now my customers can build the door of their dreams from the seat of their own couch. Play around with the styles, color, windows, and hardware of the door. Then you can upload a picture of your home to see how it looks. Then when we come out to your home, you've already figured out the toughest part of selecting the new door. Go to allfourseasonsgarages.com to start your newest project today.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
It's time to change the way you think about your barbershop experience. Boardroom Salon for Men will change your expectation, your haircut routine, and set the benchmark. From the leather-bound chairs, complimentary beverages, and pool table, Boardroom provides the ultimate grooming experience. Be sure to visit one of the 6 Atlanta locations during the entire month of August and receive 50% off your first visit. Just mention 680 The Fan to receive the discount. Let Boardroom Salon for Men set the benchmark for the best haircut experience you've ever had. It's more than just a haircut, it's an experience. Relax, look great, and feel confident.
Stream Atlanta Braves baseball all season for free on the Fan app, powered by T-Mobile.
It swung on and hit high and deep to left field. That ball is gone. Home run, Ozuna.
The Fan is bringing you every pitch of the 2020 season, streaming for free.
WCNN North Atlanta, a Dickey broadcasting station.
The Fan. We're live with coaches and athletic directors from across the state, figuring out the status of high school sports. This is the Georgia High School Athletics Roundtable with Doug Cowart, Doug Konkel, and Rusty Mansell, exclusively on The Fan.
Doug Cowart here on the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, as well as the YouTube channel. And we've already come out of the gate and made some waves. I feel like that we've made some real progress with the discussions we've had, and we're about to go and do something that have we done this yet? We've gone out to a Zoom call and brought somebody in. This is the first Zoom call. Everything else is this is big time. We've got Coach Kirby Smart coming up about 8:40, and it's my understanding, Rusty, that Zoom has already been tested.
I'm sure that his 7th grade son set that up. That would be my odds.
Right.
Just how smart his 7th grade son is, I would assume he set it up for him.
And I guess Kirby's kind of the flip side of that. You're saying. I get you.
He's not the technical guy in that family.
Us fathers all know what you mean when it comes.
I hope he heard you. I hope he heard you say that. That's Rusty Mansell, Doug Konkel. I'm Chris Mooneyham. Thanks, Doug.
There you go. Absolutely. We want to go out and bring Richard Norman in. He is the athletic director at Kell High School via Zoom, and you'll be able to see him there on the YouTube channel. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for coming out, and I know you guys are ready for some high school football to happen, and we feel like we got good news talking to Dr. Robin Hines earlier, and the momentum seems to be maybe different than it was in the very beginning when we weren't sure. We got the word about Fulton County maybe pushing back a little bit, and now with speaking with Dr. Hines, everything seems to be back in place. Everybody seems to be a little more upbeat, if you will.
Yeah, I was. It's great to be with you guys. I was coming off the softball field. We had a girls softball field at home tonight, and as I was coming in, getting the news and everything, it was a tremendous relief because our kids have been working hard, and that's what the kids are wanting to get to is be out on the field. I mean, being at the girls softball game tonight, everybody was excited just to be there, even though it got rained out. It got short a little bit, but it was just parents, kids, they want sports to take place.
Coach Norman, Doug Konkel here. When we had Dr. Hines on, one of the questions, I think Rusty was the one who asked him this, it was about capacity at the stadiums for any of the games, any of the sports, and he really wants to make that a local decision. So tell us about that process for you and what all you have to take into consideration about how many fans or how you would seat them or that sort of a thing.
So within the Cobb County School District, our policy has been 30% is what we can have at our stadium. So we got 3,000 permanent seats in our football stadium. So 30%, I'm going to be able to have 900 fans in the stands.
How are you going to determine who gets those? Is that going to be players plus 4 tickets like they do in college? How are y'all going to determine those 900?
So what we've done is I met with the Booster Club Monday, and we determined that we're going to get the parents season tickets for them. We want to make sure that the parents are there to take care of that. And then, like a lot of schools in Cobb County in the area, we're going to the ticketless, the cashless system.
Yeah, but I know they have.
And so one of the good things that they can set the ticket limit within your system.
Wow.
Once those tickets are reached, then you have to close the gates, and you've collected all you can collect. So a lot of it's going to be getting out there promoting on your school websites and everything. Hey, you need to get your tickets.
Wow.
So, and one of the things that's hurt us is within Cobb County, we come back into the county again. For a lot of the years we were out of the region of Cobb County, we weren't playing a lot of Cobb County teams. And so Dr. Giles, our principal, was instrumental in getting that community sense back for Kell, getting us back into the Cobb County region this year. And so we were looking forward to some big games at home. 2 of our biggest rivals, Sprayberry and Lassiter, are our final 2 games. And now I'm looking at only allowing 900 people into that stadium when it would have been overflowing. So, that's a disappointment, but it's just something that we have to deal with right now in these days and times.
Coach, I'm doing your game on TV, the Corky Kell, and what I'm hearing about a Friday night kickoff between Kell and Walton, the numbers are through the roof. Have you guys thought about, you may be the only football game in the United States on that night? No pressure. I'm just letting you know.
Just get out there and perform.
Hey, Coach is probably going to text me in a minute, but we were talking about that yesterday. Kell and Walton could literally be one of the most watched high school football games in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it really could be, sort of it's that East Cobb neighborhood. But
yeah,
what's so special about that is the Kell name.
Absolutely.
Our jerseys, and being a part of the Corky Kell is a tremendous honor to have to carry that load to make Miss Kell proud, the Kell family. So it's an integral part of our community. Miss Kell and I, along with Dr. Giles and Coach Sloan, we always have a preseason dinner. So we still haven't been able to work that out yet.
Oh, man.
I talk with Miss Kell, so she's very involved with the school, and it's a big deal for the community, and that night is going to be huge.
No 9 a.m. kickoff. I know you are loving it.
Oh yeah, that's great. It's disappointing not being able to play in the Mercedes-Benz, but a Friday night lights.
Looking forward to it, man.
It's going to be special.
Can't wait.
Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM. My name is Doug Cowart. Appreciate you joining us, as well as streaming us on YouTube, which is super cool. And that's the way you're seeing Coach Richard Norman from Kell High School, athletic director out there. It's cool to be able to do some radio and television, Doug.
Oh, I can see how ugly and old I am now.
But
that's
right. Yeah, handsome devil.
It's pretty nice.
Give yourself some credit there, pal. You got great hair.
The hair guy.
We were talking about the hair
of our group right now. Hey, Coach, real quick, because I'm stealing time from Chris Mooneyham. What about concessions at the game? That's been a question I know that has been troublesome for some programs.
Yeah, it has, and within Cobb County, so you can have prepackaged food. There's no cooking or grilling within the concession stand. So, that's going to hurt a little bit. So, you're going to have to come up with some inventive ways to try to get that prepackaged food into the stadium and everything to where you can offset some of the cost and everything. So that's going to be a challenge, but, it's things that we can work on and make it happen.
Mr. Norman, what are some of the day-to-day operations that have been affected for you in this, as I guess I've come to call it this officially now, the age of COVID-19? It sounds like something that's going to be a
movie one day.
I know, or on the front of a book or something like that. Maybe I should get that copyrighted. But in all seriousness, what are some of the day-to-day operations that have been changed for you in the age of COVID-19?
Well, being an athletic director, I never would have thought I would have had a COVID-19 manual playbook.
Right.
We have to take our temperatures of our athletes every day. The coaches have to turn in the forms to me with the temperatures, all the questionnaires. I keep records of that. We had so much blue painter's tape all over our school this year. You thought we were repainting the school, just marking it off, making sure we had 6 feet of distance, social distancing. So those type of things, it's a challenge every day. Because as an athletic director, you sort of take it personal as this is all my athletes and I don't want nothing to happen to them. And you want to make sure that you're taking every step you can to make the environment safe, make sure that we're following all the rules and the guidelines. Our medical staff, our athletic trainers have been tremendous in working hand in hand, making sure that everybody is safe, temperatures are checked. So that's been a big challenge because like you say, you take it personal because it is your kids. And that's the way I see it every day. I don't want anything to happen. And I want the parents to know that at Kell High School, we're doing everything above and beyond to make sure their kids are safe when they come into this complex for training.
Coach Norman, we appreciate your time and wish you guys nothing but the best. Hope you have a wonderful season and go get them, man. Hit them hard.
Thank you, and look forward to seeing everybody out on Friday night, September 4th.
Yes, sir. Hey, we're looking forward to it. That's the thing, man. Everybody is. I feel like since we talked to Dr. Hines, we had that vibe in the room.
I'm telling you, man, we can't get a group hug, but
I know.
Right.
Yeah, because
we get a beverage afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, and you said you've gotten a few texts about people going, wait a minute, I love where that conversation went.
There's multiple high school coaches that have texted me in the last 20 minutes going, man, that was very impressive, number one, by Dr. Hines, how he handled himself. Mm-hmm. But number two, everybody got the same vibe that, hey, we're about to play.
Yeah.
We are about to play in Georgia.
It is a great feeling for sure. Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan. 680 93.7 FM, as well as on YouTube. Rusty Mansell, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel. My name is Doug Cowart. Want to invite in a guy that I know is really, really dialed into this season happening, and he wants this season to happen more than anything else because he just took the job at Alpharetta High School, coming over from Hoover High School, welcoming Alpharetta head coach Jason Kervin to the show. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So we've gotten so many good vibes about the season moving forward. I don't know if you were able to hear Dr. Hines, the executive director of the GHSA, but the vibe that he put off is we're going to play football, and I know you'd be delighted to hear it if you didn't get to hear it from him.
Yeah, that sounds good. I just got off the practice field and checked my Twitter, and it looks like Fulton County's backed it up till 9/14.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that was coming. I know we had a coaches meeting tomorrow. I know there's been some decisions being made, so I kind of anticipate that a little bit. That's hard to hear, unfortunately, but hopefully they're committed to trying to get us through the season, give our kids a chance to play.
Coach Kervin, Chris Mooneyham here. First time we've had the opportunity to speak. It's good to finally talk to you. I know that's bad news. If you'd stayed in Alabama, you'd be playing next week. No, I'm only.
No,
I do that, man, that way.
Am I the first guy to say that to you, to joke with you? First of all. Second of all, in all seriousness, let me actually be serious. I want to rattle off some teams here for you. Blessed Trinity, Brookwood, North Cobb, Collins Hill, Harrison, Milton, Roswell, Etowah. Those are the toughest teams on your schedule this year. This is going to be a heck of a first year for you, Coach Kervin. Tell us a little bit about your schedule.
Yeah, man. I mean, it sounds like you just railed off a bunch of playoff teams there.
like SEC West there, man.
I thought that's what you were doing for a second. I was like, yeah, man, those teams are good. And I was like, wait a second, we play all those teams. Yeah, I mean, it's what you want, though. I mean, when you're playing at this level and you're working this hard and you're preparing year-round, you want an opportunity to go against the best, and you want to measure yourself, and see how you measure up. So, I think we're looking forward to it. I think we're excited. We're looking at it as an opportunity. I've got a lot of respect for Georgia high school football. We play some of the best teams around here. I know it's a good, physical, athletic, well-coached brand of football. So we knew we'd have some challenges coming over here. So I'm not surprised about that.
Hey, Coach Kervin, Doug Konkel, welcome to town. I'm actually an Alpharetta resident myself. I'm in the Johns Creek district, though, just so you know. But still, your stadium is one of my favorite places. I just love that bowl they got set up over there. So kind of selfishly, I want to know if there's going to be a setup when you guys start playing that we can come and broadcast a game where we can be set up outside so we don't have to be inside the building. But kind of going along with that, how do you handle your coaching staff being in the building, close quarters? Are they going to be masked up? Are they going to have the windows open? And that's going to be enough air circulation? Have you guys thought about that yet?
So we try to stay masked up when we're in buildings. We ask the kids to mask up when we're watching tape at all times, and we mask up in the weight room. Anytime we're indoors in close quarters and we're not having to breathe hard, we stay masked up, for everybody's protection. And I think that's really important, and we've really taken that seriously. And I think we're going to get measured in large part on our ability to contain the spread. Because you're going to get some positives. I mean, it's creeping in. That's going to happen. What we've got to do in our program is keep it from spreading and keeping an outbreak. So we're pretty diligent about that. And I think our kids are really conforming to that. They want to play a season. They don't want to be a part of, costing anybody games or anything like that. So I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to handle that as much as you can.
Coach, you're going to have an interesting situation coming up this year. I mentioned the same thing to Franklin Stevens at McEachern. You guys lost some significant, important talent from last year's squad, but you also return a ton of really important, highly impactful guys. Mitchell, Haven, Merrill, Johnson, Foster, guys like that. I guess Slocum's back, too. Is Jaden Slocum's back as well?
Yeah, big time.
Jaden Slocum's like a seventh-year senior, I think. But I digress. The point is, you'll have to replace your quarterback. I think it's going to be Guthrie. Maybe you can fill that in for me this year or right now. But how do you feel about the 2020 Raiders?
I feel good. I mean, I think everybody knew that there was talent in Alpharetta. That's part of what attracted me to the job. So, I thought the guys coming back were really good. I think they really fit what we're doing well. And I think that's really important. It's not just they're talented. We've got the pieces we need, on kind of both sides of the ball. We just have to continue to develop the depth. Get the numbers out, get the participation up, get the depth. Depth is the key. All right, that's what pushes everybody. That's what gets you your depth. I mean, you're going to get injuries during the season. You're going to lose players. You're going to lose your best players. And I think the mark of a good coach isn't how he coaches his best players. I think it's what kind of depth he can build with his unit. So I think that's a challenge for us. I think that's something we're working at every day to try to overcome. But I feel good about what we got, man. We got a lot of really good players. They're good kids. They listen. They want to learn. They want to be coached. So we'll just have to see how it comes together when we get out on the field.
Do you convince them that what you were able to do at Hoover is what you're going to do at Alpharetta?
No, I don't think we have to, because we're not going to be Hoover. I didn't come here to be Hoover. Alpharetta won't be Hoover. Anytime we're trying to be anybody else, we'll never be as good as we can be. We have to be the best version of Alpharetta we can be. We have to figure out what is our brand, what is our niche, and we have to play to those strengths, and we have to protect our weaknesses. But we'll put a twist on it, based on what we have year in and year out. And that always changes in high school, because you don't get to recruit tight ends and fullbacks and outside receivers. And I mean, some years you got more of the other. So, you're kind of always tweaking that offense a little bit. I feel good about what we got. We just got to continue to build the depth.
You found your quarterback yet?
We got some quarterbacks, man.
You ain't gonna name a quarterback, man. You can't.
We got 2 weeks to it. Hey, we're gonna have him on the air this year. I thought,
it's still a battle, man. Right. You can't do it. 2 weeks of pads left.
All right, Coach. Stupid question for you. Where are you from originally? Where did you grow up? Because I'm an Alabama native myself. I'm trying to place that accent of yours.
So I'm from Montevallo, Calera, Alabama, just Mooneyham, probably about 25 miles south of Hoover. And then we've kind of been in Hoover, Alabaster our whole life. We've been right there in Shelby County, never left, never. So that's where we've been. Part of my voice, though, is I'm hoarse. I've been
hollering at them kids.
You're right, yeah.
Been coaching them quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, you'll find Georgia ain't so bad from one Alabama guy to another.
No doubt. We love it over here, man.
Anything that we should have asked you that we didn't that you want to throw out there about what you guys are going to accomplish this season?
I don't know what we're going to accomplish. I don't really try to focus on that because I think that's relative to what you have. And I think that's always a tricky thing when you're coaching a high school team and you're trying to push those kids to the extreme and you're setting your goals high. I think you got to be careful of what your end goals are, because if you're doing the right thing and eventually you run out of talent, you don't want the whole thing to be a waste. You don't want it to be negative. You want to go out there, get after it, just do the best you can every day, lock in every day, focus, give your best effort, and let's see what happens and let's live with it. Because when you do it that way, all right, you're going to be more likely to be successful. And when you don't, and when you're not successful, at least you have the satisfaction and peace of mind of knowing that you did it the right way. And sometimes that's more valuable than actually winning and achieving something, is knowing that, hey, I came up short, but I can still sleep at night and I don't have to go back and have any doubts and regrets. So, we try to approach every day like that around here, create as much positive energy as we can, try to make each other better, love each other, be honest with each other. And really just enjoy what we're doing and enjoy being around each other, because you can't take it for granted. We know it's going to be over, and now in the situation we're in, it could be over any day. We're on pins and needles every day, hoping for the best. So, I think it gave us an appreciation a little bit for just the opportunity to play, man. So we're hoping to play, and we're going to get after it every day, and we're going to see how it turns out.
Alpharetta High School head coach Jason Kervin. Thanks so much for joining us, Coach. Go hit them hard, all right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys having me.
All right, thanks, Coach. It's our pleasure. You guys got a lot of passion. You can hear it. And it's funny you talk about the Alabama thing, eh? That's the one thing I've noticed about Coach Kervin. He's always throwing an A in there.
You know what? So I could have nailed him as a Birmingham area guy. Because I'm from the southern part of the state, south of Montgomery. There's a difference, and I thought he had it.
He's got 5 all-region performers coming back, including one of the best defensive backs in the state, as you know, Rusty, and Jaden Slocum. Dylan Merrill's kind of a tweener kid. They're going to try to figure out what he will be at the collegiate level, but you guys at 24/7 Sports have him ranked, I think, in the top 100 in the state. Yep. So he's got 3 or 4 guys that are coming back that have a ton of talent, and he took the words right out of my mouth. Depth will be the key for this team in 2020.
So they got a guy out of Hoover over at Alpharetta now. A couple years ago, Johns Creek got a guy out of Tampa Plant and Mark Helmrich. I mean, the North Fulton football is looking pretty shiny these days. It's going to be a tough group up there.
Coming around.
St. Thomas Aquinas.
St. Thomas Aquinas, not Plant. I'm sorry.
There we go.
And the other power from Tampa.
Don't do that, man, like that.
Well, I'm not in Tampa, so I'm safe right now.
You're listening to the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM with Rusty Mansell, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel. I'm Tug Cowart. We appreciate you joining us either on the radio or on YouTube. Going to go out to the phones now. Talk to former Georgia Tech quarterback Taquan Marshall joining us. Taquan, thanks so much for taking the time with us tonight.
Thanks for having me, man.
This guy is so incredibly talented. I was able to watch him at Georgia Tech, and then he spent a lot of time here at the radio station. So I know what kind of guy he is, and I know he knows football. What is it that these kids need to be focusing on right now, Taquan, especially with the uncertainty surrounding the football season?
Honestly, right now it's kind of. It's kind of a wishy-washy thing. Like if I was in that position, I wouldn't really know what to think, especially if I was a kid that didn't really have the offers and, planned on, balling out my senior year to get those offers to go to college. So right now, everything is really up in the air. And I mean, that's at all levels. But right now, I mean, I really don't know what you can really focus on besides hoping that there's a season that you can play in.
Hey, Taquan, Doug Konkel here. Loved watching you play at Tech, by the way. Although now I realize I'm spoiled by Zoom after the last 2 callers. Now, I don't get to see this guy when I'm talking to him. It's different now. Hey, listen, so If you're a player, when you were a player, if you knew that you had to be disciplined 24 hours a day with the kind of restrictions that are on these guys right now in order to play on Saturday, and more importantly, so that a lot of your teammates could play on Saturday, is that enough motivation to overcome the impulsiveness of a 17 or an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old kid?
Honestly, that's actually kind of tough, and it's funny you asked that because me and some of my buddies were talking about that the other day, and I just said, if I was in college right now and, like, with some of the restrictions and stipulations they would have on you as a team, like maybe, you can only go to the facility and go back to your apartment or dorm, whatever it is, and, you might not be able to see your family for an extended period of time or your significant other or whatever the case may be. It would be pretty tough, and on top of that, also probably school. I mean, it would be pretty tough because the whole college experience, especially with college football, is not only, playing on the big stage, but also in, meeting new people and having that social life as a college student athlete. So you're taking a portion of that away from a student athlete at a young age at 18, 19, 20. I mean, I know that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about college football, besides playing college football, was actually, being able to be social. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, I think if you really want to, you can, but to be able to ask over 85 guys to do it is going to be very tough.
Taquan, Rusty Mansell from 24/7. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Let's don't talk about me misranking you in high school right now. Let's get on to another.
I'm actually about to bring that up in a couple minutes, as a matter of fact.
I just think I get ugly quick.
Story time. They played with a young man named Jordan Jenkins at Harris County. Jordan Jenkins was number 1 player in the state, or number 2, according to you. I remember going to see them play Whitewater, and at Whitewater, and they played a little bit sloppy. Then I had some injuries, but Coach Tommy Parks pulled me aside right before the game. He goes, "I got two babies that are really, really good." And I took pictures that night, and I had to go back in a year or two later to get the pictures when they finally came. It was Taquan and Tate Crowder. Right. And 2 very, very talented football players that were very, very good at Georgia and Georgia Tech. But I just remember looking at those guys going, man, they look like babies out here. And 2 years later, here they are on the recruiting scene and got to see those guys. But those Harris County teams, now, y'all were a real deal for a while.
Oh, yeah. We had a couple guys that made a squad for sure.
Physical practices. I would go there, and I'm telling you now, when you left there, you knew those boys, they were strapping on at Harris County. They would get after it in practice.
Yeah, well, it was almost light when they got into game.
Yeah,
because they had practiced so hard.
Right.
That's the type of team that was. Taquan, Chris Mooneyham here. I covered you a couple of times when you were at Harris County. Something I wanted to bring up, because I know that Harris County, that area well. I wanted to get your thought process on this. You had a lot of guys that you played with who grew up in unfortunate circumstances, if you catch my drift, impoverished, where a scholarship would mean so much to them to get out of town, to potentially get an education, be the first in their family to college, much less graduate. What are your thoughts on that, as far as a lot of these kids that are going to end up flailing on recruiting because of the age of COVID-19?
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that's very unfortunate because, like you said, I mean, not only from where I'm from, but in a lot of areas, there's a lot of people who grow up in unfortunate situations that, football is their way out of that and their way to, better their education and also continue playing football. But honestly, with this stuff going on, it's really one of those things where it's like you can't really do anything about it, and it's like an unfortunate situation. And in high school, you can't really just say, hey, we can, give you another year of eligibility like you can in college. Mm-hmm. So with all this COVID stuff going on, it's a lot of stuff is just really tough, and it's hard to bear with just because you don't really know what's going to happen. And if you're a senior in that position where you might be on the line of, maybe getting an offer and you just need a little bit more tape or something like that, and you're not able to get that, then it's going to suck that, you weren't able to, put yourself in a better situation due to COVID.
Taquan Marshall joining us here on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM. Before we let you go, Taquan, let everybody know, especially the Tech fans, what you're doing. How have you been? What's been keeping you busy?
So I've still been training and stuff for football. Actually, before COVID broke out, I was going to have an opportunity to go up to Canada and play. I had to work out with the team up there. But obviously, when COVID came down, everything got canceled. So I'm still been training and stuff with football. Maybe I'll have an opportunity with some NFL teams. I actually just had a workout today that I'm going to send some film out to some NFL scouts and things like that. So
awesome.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. And we're just going to see how everything plays out with COVID going on.
Yeah, man, I understand. Good Lord's got a plan for you, man. You hang in there, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck. We'll be pulling for you, and we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Taquan Marshall, former Georgia Tech quarterback, man. I got to tell you, that he's one of the coolest kids that I've ever been able to spend time with.
I was going to say, I've never spoken to him before. What a delightful young man. As now an old man, I can say that kind of stuff. What a delightful guy that is to speak to.
He's always positive. He's always up tempo, you know, and I'm a Georgia fan by nature, but I always pull for Tech as long as they're not playing against Georgia. And he and I would go back and forth a little bit about Georgia Tech, and he would tell me, he may not want me to say this, but I'll say it anyway. He was like, I don't hate Georgia. He's like, a bunch of my buddies were on that team. Yeah. You know, we used to go and give exactly for sure. And it's so funny, you know, coming over from music radio, and I've been doing sports now for 3 years. That was the first player I'd ever heard tell me that, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Hey, that can't be the case. You guys got to hate each other just like I hate the other team. And it's just not that way.
That's why it's clean, old-fashioned.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know, it kind of reminds me, just if we can digress for a second.
Yeah, please.
I used to do a show at UGA every year. They had a countdown to kickoff in the summer. It was the Stinchcomb brothers put it on. Yeah. It was a great show we would do. It was way back in. Tim Tebow was quarterback of Florida. You guys know I have an affinity for Florida. So I'd asked every Georgia player we interviewed. I was like, what do you think about Tim Tebow? Nothing but positives. It was like, greatest competitor ever, makes me play my best, wish I played Tim Tebow every week. It was the respect between guys like that is it's really important.
Yeah, that was something that was nice for me to learn. You're listening to the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM, streaming on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe while you're there. I'm Tug Cowart, along with Doug Konkel, Chris Mooneyham, and Rusty Mansell. Well, right around the corner, the head coach for the University of Georgia, Kirby Smart, will join us here on the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM.
We're seeing more and more cars on the road right now. We know people haven't been driving for weeks. That means we could see careless drivers and an increase of accidents. Drive safely, be careful out there. But if you do get hit by another driver, call our guy, Bruce Hagan. Bruce and his team are working hard to protect their clients, allowing a free initial consultation by phone or video conference with all the necessary documents signed remotely through a secure server. Go to Hagan-Law.com to get in touch with Bruce Hagan, the people's lawyer. That's Hagan-Law.com.
The boys of summer are back, and Botany Bay Florist is ready to celebrate the red, white, and blue in a very special way. Baseball is beautiful. From the little leagues up to the pros, Botany Bay has created now a very special red, white, and blue bouquet that's going to make the baseball fan in your life very, very happy. Botany Bay Florists deliver beautiful flowers to the people that you love, and that's anywhere across Atlanta. And attention wedding planners, special event directors, does your business need a quality, friendly florist who wants to work with you? I recommend highly Botany Bay Florist. The website is botanybayflorist.com.
This season, Major League Baseball is having to play a modified schedule. Instead of the usual 162 games, they're playing 60. So how does that affect the teams? Well, it means that each of those 60 games is more important than ever. Every single game matters. There are no extra games to get it right when they mess up. Life is much like that because we as humans tend to think we always have another chance to do things over. As a result, we can get lazy and begin to procrastinate and just don't do our best. What does it matter? Well, God says it matters. Ephesians 5:15 says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity." Just as Major League Baseball must make every game count, we're called to make the most of the time God has given us. Only He knows how much time that is. So we've got to make each moment count. Our lives do matter. This is Bryant Wright, speaking right from my heart.
We know these are difficult times for businesses, and knowing your banker can be the difference between closing your doors or reopening them. Piedmont Bank is a strong community bank run by experienced business professionals committed to having personal relationships with our business customers. A relationship they can rely on during the ups and downs. As this crisis passes and our community rebuilds, we want you to know we are here to help your business grow more resilient. And together, we can do more. please consider making a food donation at our Peachtree Corners location to support Neighborhood Cooperative Ministries. Learn more at piedmont.bank or by calling 770-246-0011.
Fall sports for high school students are changing by the day, and the fan staff is here to get you the latest updates. This is the Georgia High School Athletics Roundtable with Doug Cowart, Doug Konkel, and Rusty Mansell, exclusively on The Fan.
And Chris Mooneyham. Hi, Mooney.
Hi, guys.
Always nice to have you aboard.
I know.
Chris. Even though apparently you're an uninvited guest.
That's right. He's always invited on my tab.
I was just walking by the building. I saw you guys standing out there. I said,
broke your
"What's
leg."
up, guys?"
It was the biggest paper, rock, scissors ever at 680, and he won, and he's in.
I did.
Wow.
I did.
I thought he's walking by and the door wasn't quite shut all the way, so he got in before it locked.
Yeah. Me and Steve West.
There you go.
We were doing paper, rock, scissors together. Steve couldn't put his phone down in time.
That's right.
And so I beat him.
That's it happens.
He probably
that
had
way.
his phone in one hand and several newspapers in the other.
If you know him well.
1983.
You know that's probably the case. You're listening to the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on The Fan, 680 93.7 FM, and stream to YouTube with Rusty Mansell, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel. I'm Doug Cowart.
Hi,
Make sure
guys.
if you want to follow us, you can follow Rusty at Mansell247. Mooneyham is Mooneyham on air. Doug Konkel is at Doug Konkel, and I'm at Doug Cowart, and always follow at 680 The Fan.
Just want to say real quick that even though Fulton County has bounced back to the 14th of September, our first 680 The Fan Friday night football game of the week should still be Westminster and Lovett, the Battle of Buckhead. It'll be Carl Worrell, the play-by-play extraordinaire of the station, the voice, if you will, of Friday night football games, and myself covering that one. So looking forward to getting out there and seeing some young men playing some football at Lovett, which, by the way, if I didn't mention this earlier, they're actually making it their senior night.
Which is smart.
Which is really smart.
Very smart.
Get those important games. And the second game could be homecoming, for all we know. I mean, they might just try to front-load it like that just in case the numbers in the state turn really bad and they have to shut everything down. It's a good idea.
I heard Chuck talk about it about a week ago when the Pac-12 at one point came out with their schedule. The UCLA-USC game was very early, and the Oregon-Stanford game was early. So they, at that point, was like, we got to get things popping, and I love that idea. I bet you a lot of schools hear that tonight and go, you know what? We're going to do that. We should do that, which is that's very, very smart.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, Doug, you mentioned our 680 The Fan Friday Night Football, and you're right. It'll be September 4th, the Friday with the Battle of Buckhead. We cover those two teams. We cover that ball game every year. It means a lot to the station. It's a big, big ball game. Two great teams, two great communities.
And David Dickey makes us.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing.
I wasn't going to bring that part up, but of course. Okay, sure.
David has connections, deep ones at both schools, so we're doing that game forever and a day.
And two talented teams this year, by the way. Be two talented teams this year. By the way, let's make sure that we mention this in our second hour. The Dickey Broadcasting Company, 680 The Fan, and The Extra, proud to announce tonight officially that we are the new home for the Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show. Every Friday night coming to you for 12 consecutive weeks. At least, and we hope, beginning September 4th. We'll be on the air at 10 o'clock across 50-plus affiliates in the state of Georgia. We'll bleed into Florida, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and, of course, into Alabama as well. We're on a couple of .coms as well, I believe. But, again, the Georgia High School Football Scoreboard Show across the state of Georgia has a new home. It's right here inside the Battery Atlanta with the Dickey Broadcasting family. We'll see you at 10 p.m. On September 4th.
I gotta tell you, it makes me want to stand up the way you did
You're
that,
welcome.
man. It was like you that was quite the
That's my
explanation.
second time on radio.
Yeah, well,
So-
you've done well with it. I gotta tell you,
I'm working on it.
Savvy veteran.
So we'll let you know that Coach Kirby Smart about 8:45 here on the show. What, yes.
Well, I was just going to say I've had some people asking me emails and text for updates because we've been talking, especially Rusty has brought up the Southeast a good deal. I thought maybe we could update people on the rest of the Southeast and what's going on with schedules for other states. If you count Virginia as a Southeastern state. Do we count Virginia?
In the Civil War, they counted them. So
see, Rusty's thinking about it. I like that. How about you, Doug?
Yeah, they're in.
Southeastern state?
I was stationed up there when I was in the Navy.
It's mixed.
Nah, it's really not.
Not now.
Okay, so maybe a yes and a no. That's interesting.
They'll shoot at your helicopter from the countryside.
That's what I hear.
So
I
that
just
sounds
heard
pretty
about
southern to me, man.
Yeah.
Well, if you count Virginia, so 11 Southeastern states, there are now only four that will be starting their schedules on time. They'll be starting their schedules on time. Let's see. Let's roll through this. North Carolina on the – wait a minute. North Carolina changed.
They changed yesterday. They canceled yesterday.
Yeah. Let's make it 3 then. Let's make it 3. What is the date now, the new date for North Carolina, please, sir? Do you know?
I do not know.
That's
I know
all right.
that a lot of their majority yesterday, if I'm not, canceled everything.
Yeah, that's
for the entire fall.
I believe so. I believe so.
Good gracious. See, I typed this up about an hour before we came on. Tennessee on the 20th. Alabama on August 21st, Arkansas on the 23rd. Florida will start on the 27th, although if you've been following the news down there.
Practice.
Yes.
I was in Florida last week.
Man alive.
They haven't put on helmets yet.
Wow.
Their schedule, their state is divided basically in 4s. I mean, they've got athletic directors in South Georgia that are South Florida that are wanting to band together and start their own league.
Yeah.
Some in the northern part of the state are trying to push back the start of the season even more. The governor wants to do one thing. The rest of the government wants to do another. It's getting messy down in Florida.
As a guy who grew up in the Panhandle, I can tell you, Fort Walton Beach, by the way, Vikings, striking Viking, 1985. Doug
look
Konkel.
at that.
Striking Viking.
I like it.
There isn't a state that's more diverse in terms of political and cultural and everything than Florida. I mean, from where I grew up to South Florida are 2 different planets.
2 different, that's what I was about
to say.
Yeah, Mississippi on September 4th, Kentucky's September 11th. South Carolina is now not starting until September 25th. They may only play 5 regular season games and 4 weeks of playoffs. And then Louisiana on October 8th. But don't hold on to that date. I think they're going to get pushed back. And then Virginia on March 1st.
By the way, Utah this weekend, 50 games.
One more time?
State of Utah, 50 games.
Utah.
Okay.
Full bore, man.
There you
Bring
go.
it. Yep. Bring it.
Georgia High School
power, baby.
Football Roundtable here on the Fan 680 93.7 FM and streaming to YouTube. We certainly appreciate your time and we want to ask you to like and subscribe because this is not going to be the last time we do this. I have a feeling it will happen again because of the success of this evening. You know, we've been uncovering a lot of ground, and I can't wait to just kind of when we get to the end, you know, reflect on what we did uncover with Georgia high school football. Well, it is time here on the Fan 680 93.7 FM to welcome the head football coach at the University of Georgia, Kirby Smart, to the show. Coach, how about them dogs?
How about them dogs, man? Y'all doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Coach.
Y'all had a stellar cruise. Some heavy hitters been on this show.
Yeah, you tough crowd to follow. Tough crowd to follow tonight, Coach. I'm telling you.
Ain't no doubt.
The biggest question is who set up this Zoom tonight, you or your son?
You know what? I texted him to go downstairs and set it up. He always sets my Zoom up. It saves me a little time, and he likes doing it. But I texted him, and he never got a text back, so I had to get up off the couch and come on down early.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
Right.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us tonight. We've got a couple questions. And again, you know, this has been the focus tonight. I know you probably didn't get to hear, but Dr. Hines was on, and the phones were blowing up. It was a very, very positive message and basically said that he looks, and we all got the same impression, that we're playing football in the state of Georgia. September the 4th, high school football is going to be locked and loaded. How important is that to you? I know you're a high school football fan, but you're going to get to watch some of these games and evaluate. Talk a little bit about the importance of high school football in the state of Georgia.
Well, it's our bread and butter. I mean, it's what makes the program. I think any state institution head coach would tell you he's extremely supportive to have his state play that sport. And every coach in the SEC is going to be fighting for his state high school football because that's where we pull most of our players from. And I've been following that closely as I've got a son that, you know, doesn't play high school football, but he plays football, and he wants to be able to have that opportunity, and we don't want to lose that. And, you know, if certain people don't feel comfortable with it, they certainly don't have to. But I know of all the states I've ever been involved in, there's no greater organization than the Georgia high school coaches. They do a great job. They do it the right way.
Coach, let's rewind a little bit, and I know we could talk for a long time on the last 6-7 months, but let's go back to a couple of things. You have a junior day in January. The month of February is completely dead for the first time. You have spring break the first week of March, and then you're thinking, when I come back, it's on for the rest of the year. You come back, and the brakes have been put on. You know, what were you thinking at this point? And, like, you haven't had kids as a staff on campus since January. Can you believe that?
No, I would have never guessed that. I mean, it's so ironic that they put the February dead in, which everybody thought was going to be an extreme positive because it gave a coach a life. It gave a coach a chance to be with his family because every weekend in February in the past had consisted of recruiting and bringing prospects in and unofficials and come to your house and do this and do that. Now, we were like, okay, you're going to get to breathe in February. And then March comes along and we got the first week spring break, and then the bomb drops. And it's so ironic that we didn't catch the back end or the front end of another weekend. So it kind of put us behind starting out, because a lot of guys went other places that last weekend. And a lot of times in recruiting, it's who you saw last.
G-Day and your scavenger hunt are two things that have been very, very important to the last couple of classes. You obviously could not have them. How have you tried to adjust? Because I know, talking to these kids, and I always go back to DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift made the quote, I came to Georgia after seeing that G-Day. You didn't get that environment. You didn't get to have the scavenger hunt in May. How have you tried to adjust for not having those two key important recruiting pieces during the spring?
Well, the unique, that's probably true across the board. So everybody's on a level playing field. A lot of guys got people on their campus that first weekend, I guess it was March, but when it comes to the scavenger hunt and the spring games, really nobody got them. So we're really on a level playing field there. But I think that for us, it's been finding unique ways to reach people. Obviously, everybody started using Zoom, and we wanted to be the first to get on there because we knew it was going to wear everybody out. And you had to get creative. I think this year has redefined all recruiting. People started using their roster. People started using their players more. They started using their support staff more. The parents of current players started reaching out because you had to get creative. And so everybody, as competitive as the SEC is in recruiting, they're going to find a way to try to reach out to kids, get in touch with them, and develop that relationship. So I've spent a lot more time this year on the phone and on Zoom, even talking ball on Zoom. The kids like that. They enjoy learning the defenses and the offense.
How have you handled with your team trying to control the outside noise? Because, listen, we live in the day and age of instant news. Get it to your phone, whether it's accurate or not. These kids are reading this. How have you tried to handle and kind of control the narrative a little bit about your team internally?
Yeah, it's a never-ending battle. Really the battle now, it's usually the off-season of, well, this guy's going to be a great player. This guy's going to be a great player. We always say humility is a week away, and we get a lot of information for them. We hire people outside of our organization to come in and evaluate and say, okay, we need you to evaluate these guys and tell us where they stand, juniors, seniors. And, that's a good barometer for a kid when an NFL GM or a former NFL GM is telling you, you know what, right now you'd probably be a 4th, 5th round pick. That's reality. So that's different than what the media might say about a kid that's his 2nd year starting or 3rd year starting. This guy's going to be a 1st round pick. He was a 5-star. The reality is they're not where they want to be in terms of the NFL. And for us to have a great team, we have to get all those guys pulling in the same direction. And it's never easy. We do a good job trying to explain where they are in the totem pole of the country as opposed to where they are in terms of the media.
This is a unique team going through what they're going through. You've had some limited time around those guys. The strength staff is kind of your go-to people. What have you learned about this team going through this? What have you learned about this team in the offseason?
Well, we got a really good core group. And I would say this, of all the teams we've had since I've been here, I guess this is going on the 5th year, but I've spent more time with the leadership group and with the players and visiting with them, this group, more than I have the other 4 probably combined, because you got to hear their voice. We got social injustice going on in the world. We've got unbelievable things happening with COVID and the pandemic. The fear of them getting injured or being sick. There's so much information out there, and it's coming so fast at them that we've made a concerted effort as a staff to spend time, hear their voice. What can we do to reassure you that things are going to be okay? What can we do to do a better job servicing you and servicing our community? And that. Me doing that has shown me the likes of Richard LeCount, Jamari Saylor, Aziz. Just so many guys, Trevon Walker, so many guys that are a part of this group, Kieris. That leadership has really put itself at the forefront because we haven't had the natural opportunity. We didn't have spring practice. We didn't have all these recruiting events. So we've had to do it different ways.
Going to Alabama at some point, hopefully you play that game. How do you feel thinking there's only going to be maybe 15 or 20,000 in the crowd? What does that make you feel like? Because you've been in that place and that thing can come off the hinges. What's your thoughts on going there and maybe only having 15 or 20,000?
Well, I know this. They still have a stereo system. They'll find a way to crank noise in there. I'm sure everybody in the SEC, you'll probably still have to have earmuffs without the crowd just because of the sound system. So the home team's going to find a way to make it an advantage. I can promise you that.
No question. Got a text from a guy that said, listen, ask Kirby Smart about a Nick Chubb story. So I'll ask you. I have a bunch of them because he lives close to me. Tell me something about Nick Chubb people don't know. Everybody knows he's a workout freak. You got a chance to coach him. You're watching what he's doing in the NFL. What do you think about when you think about Nick Chubb?
God, you really drilled it with the work ethic. I've never seen anyone that was so dedicated to their body, to taking care of their body. I mean, the best memory I have is I wasn't here when the injury occurred. I came as he was the recovery. Yep. So I would go out with my son to a karate place just outside town. It was outside of Fulton County. And Ron had him set up with a couple guys, I forget their names, that teach karate out there. And I was bored and had anything to do. We went out there and watched him do rehab. And he was sweating so bad inside a room. His one knee had a little atrophy. He was not as big as the other knee. And he was on the mat wrestling, getting used to falling and going down. And I was thinking, man, I don't think anybody in this place wants to go there and grab that dude and go wrestle and do karate with him. I mean, his upper body was so strong when he was doing his legs. Yep. And then his legs have come back so strong. And Ron Corson, who's been through 1,000 ACLs since he's been here, has never seen a guy like Nick Chubb that works so hard and has so much strength in his body.
Last question, Coach. This fall is going to be different for everybody. The camp and everything is coming on next week. Am I correct? At some point, you'll be in pads?
Yeah, we should be Monday, Tuesday, helmets only. Wednesday, pads, which is for us, shoulder pads and shorts. And then we'll have another day of shoulder pads and shorts. And our 5th day under NCAA rules allows us to put full pads on. And I think that'll end up being the following week. But we'll be in pads next week, yes.
Tell Georgia fans one last thing. What are you expecting out of this team?
A lot of expectations. I always say our job as coaches, we go through kind of a speech every year and we read some notes that you do once a year, and you talk about loyalty on the staff. You talk about doing things the right way. But our expectation is always the same, to get the most out of this team that we possibly can. And I really don't know what that is yet. I don't know those possibilities. We got unknowns at some positions and got some talented competitions that I'm excited about. I mean, we've been able to have some of this little mini camp time. We're going to have some hellified competitions at some positions, and we got some good, talented young players that are going to help our roster.
So I got sucked into this fat camp with some of your teammates back in March and April.
I got sucked in too. Don't think I did.
Let me tell you, that was about 7 of the most miserable weeks. Everybody's trying to act like they're happy, having to weigh in every Saturday morning. Where are you at? Are you still trending good, or you've had a bad month of August?
It's so disappointing because I felt so good about myself and I felt so good, and now I'm back in one of those modes where I'm not happy unless I'm eating a lot.
That makes me feel
I just
better.
got through eating an order in Outback, and I just tell myself, man, I wasn't doing this during fat camp. I was not doing this in fat camp. So they're rolling back on. They come back on faster than they go off.
Definitely. Well, Coach, thanks for your time, man, and look forward to hopefully. I guess you're going to do Zooms for all the media stuff. I'm sure everybody, that's where it's going to be nationwide. Yeah. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the coverage y'all give high school football. It means a ton to our state, and thank you for all the work you guys do. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. There you go, Coach Kirby Smart, head coach of the University of Georgia, here on the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM, as well as stream to YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe, because we're going to do this again here in a couple weeks with Rusty Mansell, Chris Mooneyham, Doug Konkel. I'm Tug Cowart. So it's just the thing that stood out to me most about what Kirby said is that he spent more time with this team. I mean, he said that he's
the leadership.
The leadership of this team. Yep. And you think about that seems like it would be impossible, right? Because of everything that's going on and finding out ways and figuring out a way to do that. In 5 years, that's who he spent most time with. I thought that was pretty interesting.
And that's probably through Zoom.
Yeah.
But you're spending a lot of time with those guys when normally, look, you got spring practice, we got to go. May is incredible recruiting. You go June camps, July, vacation with your family 2 weeks, and you're popping. So we'll see if that pays off. I know this, and I've said it on 24/7 Sports. On paper, this is the most talented Georgia defense they've had. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's not the NFL type prospect. They're not the Roquan and regardless of what, the Andre Bakers, those types.
Yeah.
They are deep at the key positions. They've got key leaders. They got Monty Rice, Richard LeCount, Malik Herron.
Yeah.
They're defense is going to be as good as Kirby Smart can have on paper. There's a ton of questions on the offense.
Yeah.
But I know that guy's looking at that defense going, please, Lord, let us play.
We'll get after it.
Well, he said early on that, he likes talking football with these guys and explaining the defense. And, other college coaches I've spoken to have said they got a ton accomplished through Zoom in terms of teaching everybody the playbook before they got to campus. And so South Alabama, which you guys know I'm connected with, their first game is scheduled for September 3rd. So they're about 2 weeks ahead of everybody else in practice.
You think they're going to play?
We're hoping it's going to be Southern Mississippi. I think it'll be on ESPN, probably be the only FBS game going that night.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be great for them. But so talking to the coaches, so the NCAA added a couple of weeks on before the usual fall camp practice, so you could get some extra team activities. You could start doing walkthrough practices. So South Alabama, like Georgia, lost its entire spring.
Yep.
Coach Steve Campbell down there told me, he's like, you know what? This 2 weeks of walkthrough and plus all the Zoom.
They love that.
He said it's like there's so much retention and there's no there's no time in between spring and now to forget it if you consider that your spring. Yeah. He actually thinks they're as good as they would have been with the spring, maybe even a little better.
Well, there's two things about that. One, with the situation that we're in, the kids know it. They recognize it. Sure. And so it kind of sharpens their focus.
Different perspective.
Right. It gives them a different perspective.
It could be going like that.
And it's so big for the coaches, too, because these coaches, they can't speak the same way to the kids in the Zoom meeting as they do out on the field. True. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've had numerous players and coaches tell me, man, you know what? I got more respect for my coach now. And I realize even more now than I did before just how much this guy cares about me, because you're coming across a different way to the player.
Take an example, Mike Bobo, South Carolina, obviously a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Comes into South Carolina. They don't have spring practice. He's got a transfer quarterback from Colorado State coming in.
Yeah.
Right? That's going to be a battle. You think about Colin Hill knows what Mike Bobo wants.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's gotten a little advantage going into that battle at South Carolina. Helsinki not getting the reps. We'll see.
Yeah, it could be interesting the way it all plays out. I mean, you think about Georgia and everything that they've got to face, just because we talked to Kirby there, is a total new offense, teaching it to everyone. And a new OC, everything is new on the offense. It's fascinating to see.
Should have told Kirby that we were starting Bainbridge at #1 in the 4A preseason poll.
I wanted to ask him about those dragonflies.
Completely forgot.
Those dragonflies down there look like Apache helicopters.
Oh, my God, they're gigantic. I know what you're talking about.
They win another state title this year. I got to tell you.
I was trying not to act like a girl, but nobody was. I was like, what the hell is going on?
You're exactly right.
Put a helmet on one.
It's been a terrific show. I just want to make sure that we thank Mike Aaron, Brandon Joseph, Caitlin Henderson, and Rhino for keeping everything
Great job,
going.
guys.
It seems like it was easy, but those guys are hustling behind the scenes, and we certainly appreciate them. And thank you guys. Thanks for having me and allowing me to hang out with you, because you guys are the experts. I feel like the new kid on the block.
I'm going to steal your line real quick because you're the guy with the podcast. But hey, everybody, we got to keep these numbers down to keep playing football. Wear the mask, wash your hands, social distance. I don't care who you are or what your job is. Do it.
No matter what you believe, just wear the mask so we can get this thing moving.
There you go.
Just wear the damn mask.
That's it. Thank you so much for checking out the Georgia High School Football Roundtable on the Fan, 680 93.7 FM, and stream to the 680 YouTube channel. Make it a great evening.
Nothing goes better with breakfast than the front row.
I'll bang out a kielbasa.
Oh, my God.
And I'm not going to let anybody tell me otherwise.
Just tell your smart speaker to play 680 The Fan while you're getting ready for your day and roll into the office with the latest breaking news